Hello, welcome to the Freed Family Farm. I'm Tim, and I thought I'd take you along today on a little tour of our garden. It's Friday, May 30th, 2025, and today we're gonna do a quick little tour. So check it out, see what we've got going here. All right, thanks for joining us. Well, first of all, wanted to show that I have harvested a little bit this morning. We've got a market this afternoon, and I'm hoping to sell some radishes here, some kale there, and going to plan to also harvest some lettuce still today too. Then we'll see what else we can find on our tour, but I think that's probably all that we'll harvest. And so this is just in the front of the garden, and first thing here, as we look at the garden here, kind of get an overview of what we have, what it looks like. First thing you might notice is there are lots of weeds. That is very typical in our gardens, but we are working on it, and I think that we'll make it all right. A lot of weeds here, but we have been working on it. Garlic here. This is how our garlic looks this year. It's looking pretty good overall. Again, we got to get these weeds out before we choke more of it out and such. Next up is onions. These are red onions here. Let me see. Of course, there's always weeds. Oh, we are starting to form some bulbs here. That's good. So, really going to be important to get these weeds pulled as quick as we can. My son has been coming some lately and helping out with that, and hopefully he can keep coming, and really that'll be a big boost for us here. Get rid of that pigweed there, and you can see there's a lot more. The red onions are starting to form some bulbs here. We're going to continue down a little bit here, and we'll check on one of our yellow onions here. Let me go a little bit further, and let's see what we can find. Okay, so it doesn't appear to be, can't see it too well here, but it does not appear to be forming a bulb yet. Let's check this one. So we'll keep working on obviously getting them water and everything that they need, and work on getting rid of these weeds here. So next row up here, we have broccoli. Our broccoli is looking pretty good. No broccoli heads starting yet. Kind of disappointing. It was a lot smaller this year when we put it in. We had last year, we had broccoli already by this point. But you can see there, and then in amongst the broccoli is where we have some of our radishes planted, and I've harvested quite a few radishes already. Some of these might just we let go to seed for the radish pods. I'll show you that here in the next one. But broccoli, and then next up is cauliflower. I think I had mentioned in our last tour that this part of the garden here, I'd put the cauliflower in earlier, and it got cold and froze, so these all recovered. You can see further down over here, those ones I planted after the last freeze, and they are quite a bit bigger and seem to be doing better. So, and here, this is what I was talking about. We left some of the radishes here, and they are starting to flower. Well, not starting, it's been flowering. And you can see that they're going to form, there's none forming yet, but they're going to form pods, little seed pods. And those are actually quite edible. And we eat them and use them like we do radishes. So it's kind of cool. Next, I finally got the celery in, which I had started inside. But again, it just didn't get very big this year to start. But so I planted it out here, and we We've got it all the way down the row there. And this is our celery. And hopefully it can grow. It's got time. It'll be all right. And around behind me here, these are some of the volunteer sunflowers that I left them here because they weren't in the way of anything we were doing. Yet at that point, there's some bigger ones there. And so yeah, we'll see. But now the next row here is our cabbage. This is green cabbage called Brunswick. And nothing, not starting, it's getting bigger, but it's not starting to ball up yet. So still be a little while on our cabbage as well. But we've got some good big ones coming. And excited. We always love getting the really big cabbages. We'll see how that goes. Next up here is our carrot row. And I do need to come and thin them a bit more here. It's probably about time. But yeah, we got the row weeded a couple of weeks ago and need to come back and weed it again. These guys here, they get really annoying when they get big. Make sure you get them by the roots so they don't come back. But yeah, my carrots, you can see they're all kind of still too close together here. So we need to do some thinning of those as well, which I will come back sometime later and hopefully do some more of. It clearly needs done. So we'll come back and we'll do some thinning. Oh, when we get time. I find the biggest limiting factor for our garden is definitely time. Time. So here we go. Next up is our potato row. And again, speaking of time, we definitely need to mound them up with some soil and some straw. We have not yet. They are big. They are forming. And we are seeing some flowers on these. My understanding is that we want to pick the flowers as we can so that they can focus on the roots and focus on forming new potatoes here as we go. I need to do some work. There's that mound that we have back here that I plan to move some of the soil from there to kind of mound up our potatoes here. We'll see if that gets done. If it doesn't, we'll still have potatoes. They just won't get as big and such. But we will still have potatoes even if we don't get to all of that. Just not as ideal. Next up is our red cabbage. And again, my son was with me the other day and he was just noticing how pretty this purple is on these leaves and stems. These do form a real pretty red cabbage. And so we are excited about that as we go too. You can see it's getting bigger. It'll get there. Next up is kale. And this has been doing really well for us this year. We've picked from these plants here even several times already this year. This one at least twice. And it could be picked from again. But I went and picked out from some of the ones that needed it more. You can see further down. I just picked here today. And we tried doing green onions in between our kale this year. We thought that made sense. But I think next year we'll do them more in their own complete space because the kale kind of overshadows them. This is all the bigger they are right now, and we want them to get bigger for us. So that is that. Next up is our spinach. And you can see here, I had worries that it wasn't going to grow at all. It was really small when we put it in, and it was a little bit late. We've got not a ton. We got enough to share a small bag with everyone in our CSA. And then looks like we might be able to get a little bit more for ourselves here. Some of them, not all, but some of them have bolted. You can see here. And so these leaves are not going to be as good for eating, so we don't share those. Nutrition-wise, I think they're still okay, and we might still eat them or cook them in with eggs or whatever we do. But there is some spinach here that's still good. You can see here's a volunteer cilantro. I just kind of let the cilantro grow wherever it grows. And then, I mean, eventually, like this one down here, it bolts. And then it goes to seed, and then it just spreads its own seeds and plants where it wants to. This is cilantro here, which, I mean, coriander. Yeah, that's kind of how that goes. So this was our green spinach, Bloomsdale, I believe. But then we have a red spinach that's more warm weather that we planted recently again. Again, didn't get very big in the small pots we had, but I got it out, and we'll see. We really like this one. We'll see how it does overall. And then the last row in this section here is our strawberries. And I was worried, we're getting close, it's on the tail end of our harvest here for strawberries. I know it's not yet June, and it's June bearing, but that's kind of how it's been. But we have had some really good strawberries. We were worried. We did one package for everybody in our CSA, and we were worried we wouldn't quite get enough, but we did. I just yesterday picked the last bit for that. You can see these beautiful strawberries here. We've gotten some really good big ones. Most are probably about this size, not super big. They are sweet, and they are juicy. They are fresh picked, never sprayed, good strawberries. So we probably next month for our tour, you'll see how we have the runners all in pots and stuff, trying to get more. But that is the east end of our garden. Okay, now we are on the west end of our garden, kind of up the hill looking down. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of a walk through here, what we have. First off, we have our raspberries, which I have moved from way out in the corner of the lot. And basically this year, the goal is have them survive, form root, and prepare to do more berries next year. And you can see even like this little tiny guy here. So it's interesting. It's an experiment in moving them. But got a few out here that we have. Next up is cantaloupe. These we actually collected from seed from our local grocery store from a cantaloupe that my daughters really liked, and we are growing them. And this is actually our 3rd year, I think, growing these. We just collected seed every year because we really liked them. So that's kind of how that goes. We have a couple empty rows that I finally weeded. Gonna get some cucumbers, zucchini, I think, kind of in here. So excited about that. Here is kohlrabi. And you can see, need to weed amongst it here. This is kohlrabi, which is going to form these are going to form a reddish purplish bulb here that'll be like, oh, that big. And what it'll be is that's the part you eat, and you treat it kind of like a radish it doesn't have quite so much heat. So I have 2 kind of partial rows of the kohlrabi, was kind of how it made sense for us to do this year. And here, stark contrast between the green of the weeds and the red of the beets. So I need to thin a little bit here, so we've got room for the bulbs to form. But these are our beets. So obviously, not yet, but that's good to check on. I need to come back later as time allows and thin a bunch of these out. So what we did is kind of a half row of the beets and then a half row of the turnips here. So these are turnips. Oh, they are looking turnipy. Look at that. Well, me see here. Don't think that we're quite ready to pick it, but I didn't realize we were that close on our turnips. Good deal, good deal. All right, I'll have to watch these more closely for market, maybe even next week. And for CSA, getting that to our members here soon. Yeah, that's not big enough yet. It's just that wide, but they are coming along. That is exciting. It's always fun to discover how things are and when they're close. Moving on, here's one more row. I don't remember what we're gonna put in this row here, but I got it weeded. Hoping to do some planting here soon. And then the next row that needs weeded here will be, I really don't remember right now, but we're gonna get these in the next week or two. You will see them in the June tour, growing and growing. Here, well, I guess this row here is gonna be green beans. I'll need to plant those this week. But I do have some of our older green beans that are coming along here. As you can see, those are growing, and it really won't be too much longer before we have green beans to eat. So I'm excited. We are a green bean eating family, and we like to share them too. All right, here is our lettuce. You can see our red lettuce here, and our romaine lettuce here. And we've always cut the leaves off, never let it go to a head, but this is kind of cool. We'll kind of see what happens here as it goes. We have been harvesting quite a bit of lettuce for our CSA and for the market already that we've done. And you can see here, got a lot of lettuce. Now, we have several varieties, and I'm glad we do, because one of our varieties has bolted, and obviously not gonna be as good for eating. And it's just, I don't remember what, May Queen maybe? I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the varieties all are. That's kind of where that goes, how that is. And then we have other lettuce. We've harvested the outer leaves. We eat those and then let the new ones grow in. And we'll see kind of how that continues to grow here. And lastly, in the west section is our peas. These are all sugar snap peas. And we got trellises here, and we got twine here to act as a trellis. Looks like we really need a third row here of our trellising. But I don't see any flowers yet on these peas. No, we're kind of sad about that. It's like our peas, they're a cooler weather plant. And the weather is going to be back up in the 80s again this week. So we're hoping to get some peas before it gets too cold for them. And then there's a second row of the peas there too. So this half of the garden, this third I guess of the garden, isn't as full as the east third, but it's kind of, we're filling it up next. And then the middle section there that's full of weeds, we are going to do our squash and such in there. And hopefully next week, I keep saying hopefully next week for everything in our garden, but we'll kind of check that out and try and get some seeds in, get that weeded, get those seeds in there. And that is overview, a little tour of our garden. Well, thanks for joining us today on our May tour of our garden. Really excited, lots and lots of things growing, including weeds. But we're gonna work on that, and we'll keep growing things as we go. Thanks for joining along and checking this out. And yeah, hopefully you'll join us again. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any questions. We'd be happy to answer them. Yeah, so thanks for coming along and joining us. Have a great week.